The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, Clean Nation, welcome to the party. This is our regular Wednesday call where we answer your questions live. If you want to be part of the fun, you can just join our Facebook group for free and show up Wednesdays at 2 o'clock Pacific, and you can be part of the party. Or you can email support@growmycleaningcompany.com. And if Lindsay likes your question, I'll answer it live. Yeah, that's the table set, Lindsay. Let's, what would you like to see happen next?
All right, this was a special week because the theme, the theme is what's keeping you from working less in your cleaning company.
I like that one.
Like it. And I sent out an email and I posted in the Facebook group, and our team came up with a great image together because in the email, I mentioned something like, if Mike could wave a magic wand and get rid of that one thing, what would it be? So I had this image in my head and I had to make this happen. Let me just share my screen, Mike. And
so those of you that are on the podcast, you'll have to join us on YouTube or live to see the image. And Lindsay's like, did you see this image yet? I'm like, no. She's like, I will show it to you live. So I will respond. I will describe and respond to said image in real time as I get it. So Lindsay's going to share her screen. She's going to put that boy up.
Live reaction.
You'll be able to see. Oh no.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there, it's a beautiful picture of a animated fairy godmother with
your head.
Handsome, devilishly handsome it's coming out of it, but not fairy godmother. It's a little bit terrifying, a little bit atrocious. Lindsay, you'll have to make sure you put this in the show notes so everyone
I will put that in the show notes.
That is awfulness.
Alrighty, so I'm going to stop sharing that and stop freaking out Cleaning Nation there. All right, so moving on. Our first question was Pierre's commercial cleaning. He said, I have my hiring system. Now it's the incoming calls that are keeping me from working less. Mike, what would you advise Pierre to take care of those incoming calls?
Yeah, so believe it or not, the easy answer is just get an answering service, but the thing that stops people from doing that is just the beliefs around calls and training their clients. So kind of preemptively responding to Pierre, who's out there going, but they have my cell phone number. They won't stop calling it. They will do what you reward them for doing. So if you tell them, first of all, you have to tell them this is not where you get help anymore. You got to get help there. That's step one. If you haven't told them not to call your cell phone, you can't get mad when they call it. Two, you've got to reinforce that with your behavior. So if they call your phone and you answer and help them, why would they ever change their behavior? If you let it go to voicemail and your voicemail says, I'll do it forever, just for a month or two. Hey, this is Pierre. If you're calling for Pierre's commercial cleaning, I'm just one human. I can't always get back to people when they want. So here's the number you call or text or whatever action you want them to take. Do that, right? And then when they leave a message, Pierre, my house is on fire. Help me, help me, help me. You can't reward that behavior by calling them back. So you've kind of got to make a decision of how this is, because again, they have to get taken care of. They're your clients. You just don't have to be the one to take care of them. So answering service is a great way to go. And the answering service might route 10% of the calls to you, and then you'll call them when you choose. The big thing is when you choose, right? So the problem with them having your cell phone is you can't really work on your business because you're just going to get interrupted arbitrarily and consistently. But if you decide, hey, from 8 to 8:15 in the morning and 3 to 3:45 in the afternoon, that's when I respond to emails, phones, direct messages, Slack, whatever you got going, you can control it and then kind of be free the rest of your life. And then, by the way, if you get that system where your employees and customers expect that you'll only respond to them once a day at a certain time, you can be traveling anywhere in the world and they won't know or care because as long as you respond at that time, their life is good. So bonus answer in there.
Should probably unmute myself. All right. So next up, it's my first time using Zoom, everyone. Next up, we have an email from Lisa. Sorry, I'm totally screwing up your name. My apologies, but I had a very small cleaning team, she says, or he says, not sure if it's a he or she, but I couldn't.
Just so you guys know, like, is Lindsay illiterate? This name is T-A-apostrophe-A-U. So I'm guessing it's Tao. Lesa, L-E-S-A. So it's a tough name. You got to give Lindsay a little credit. She may be illiterate, but this is not the one to, bust her chops on because that's a tough name. I'm going to go with Ma'am, I'm going to get Tao is a lady. I'm just going with it. I hope I'm right, but that's where I'm going. All right. Hit us with a question.
All right. So they had a very small cleaning team, but she couldn't generate enough jobs. The idea of trying to figure out how to market wet areas and with my own full-time jobs wasn't balanced. So, Mike, how would you coach someone in that position where they're just so busy cleaning that they can't even figure out how to market and that type of thing?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So there's really two questions. One is how do I get out of working in my business, i.e. cleaning, and start working on it? And two is, how do I hire when I don't have employees, and how do I get employees without hiring? So the right answer, I think we got to shift the way we look at this opportunity from responsive or reactive, which is I feel like I have a cold, I'm going to take NyQuil, to proactive, right? I'm going to take emergency or work out or do whatever I need to do in advance. So you should always, if you want to scale, you've got to have, there's really only three parts to any business. Let's start there. You got to sell the product or service, you got to deliver the product or service, and you got to count the money. That's really kind of the magic to every business that exists. So for us, it's a service, and you're going, I'm too busy delivering the service. How do I have time to sell it? And I'm guessing nobody's counting the money or not counting it well or really doing the numbers that need to be done to know. So first and foremost, we've got to have systems that are doing those things all the time. So it's not when I run low on employees or when I get too many clients, then I'll hire. It's I'm always hiring, right? If I'm in the business of selling widgets, when am I buying widgets? All the time. If I've got a growing business, if I'm selling widgets, when should I be selling the widgets? All the time, right? And if you're too busy making the widgets, you can't sell them, or vice versa. Yeah, but that's because you have a job, not a business. You've got to kind of pull the plug and be like, I'm going to create systems for all three of those areas. I'm going to create a money counting accounting system. We call that accounting. I'm going to create a system to be bringing in, hiring, training, onboarding employees all the time. And I'm going to create a system to be generating leads and converting those leads to sales all the time. And right now there are no systems. So your name, your box of your time, Tao, is filled just with the things that are reactive, right? I promised this customer I'd be there Tuesday at 2. So by golly, I got to be there Tuesday at 2. The problem is your marketing is never going to call you or put itself on your calendar and go, you need to deal with me Tuesdays at 8 in the morning. So it just doesn't get done. So you've got to be a little more proactive and say, hey, I'm going to stop doing work if I need to. And the way to do that is just raise prices, and whoever quits, there you go, free time. I'm going to stop working for a minute and start creating those systems, both for client attraction and employee attraction. And I'm going to build a machine to create this outcome of money for cleaning, as opposed to me being the machine that creates money for cleaning. Because if you don't get paid, if your business doesn't work unless you work, then you don't have a business. That's a job, right? So I know it can be difficult, but the right answer to your question is start a hiring funnel, start a client attraction funnel. And yes, if that means you have to take a week or two where you're doing less work or no work, so be it. Or a week or two more likely where you have to be more selective about the work that you take. And again, reach out. That's what we do to help people create those exact systems to scale. So I think it was kind of a long answer, but that makes sense. Lindsay, any questions you can ask on behalf of Cleaning Nation that I missed or that was confusing?
It made sense. You actually asked a question that was forming in my head as you were speaking, is how long would it take someone that's already working full time to create, like how much time should they spend on those new systems and getting that rolling while they have that job? And you answer that by saying, spend a couple weeks on doing what you absolutely, you just said it, right?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's actually I was kind of giving the worst case example, assuming that's what Tao felt she had to do. So I wouldn't really recommend taking 2 weeks off and just doing that exclusively. I would recommend blocking out 2 to 4 hours. Well, here's the thing. And I'm trying not to be a big sales pitch for coaching, but when you need coaching, that's what it is. It took me 20 years to figure out these systems and millions of dollars. So y'all can do that on your own. And however you want to budget that 20 years, do that. Or you can just find someone that's got a system. So I'm going to assume, whether it's us or somebody else, you've got someone that has proven systems that work for both client and employee attractions, and you're going to be implementing those systems. So for us, maybe 5, 6, 7 hours a week to work on your business. But again, if you don't have the right systems, you could be like if someone's going to show me how to put together a combustion engine, I'll bet you we could do it together in a day or two. If I had to figure it out on my own, it might take me months or years. I don't know if I'd ever get it together. So again, it's a very valid question, Lindsay. I think Cleaning Nation is asking, well, how long does that take? Well, it depends on the system, the quality of the system you have, the support you have to implement the system, and how easy the system is and how well it works. So it really depends on the system, because you've got a system now. Your system is someone calls in, you do your best to show up, you go clean it yourself, like you just hustle. And for your first couple dozen clients, if you're residential, or a couple clients, depending on how big, if you're commercial, that works. But when you want to start creating a system that does something different, it takes time. So this transition to get out of cleaning, how these marketing system can be done in 2, 3, 4 months, if you've got the right system, the right support. If you are just trying to figure it out on your own, just depends. It took me 20 years. Maybe you're a little smarter, it takes you a little less. Maybe not as smart, it takes you a little more. Did I answer your question, Lindsay, or did I totally sidestep it with a shameless commercial for our services?
No, you didn't sidestep it, but that makes sense to me.
Okay, but the commercial was shameless, right? That's the important.
It was shameless.
Okay, good. Perfect. Far be it from anyone to accuse me of having shame.
Perfect, fairy godmother. Perfect. Fairy godfather. I have more ideas for memes now. Okay.
Hey, amazing people. You may have noticed we don't sell a dadgum thing on this podcast. We don't allow ads. The only ask I can ever have of you guys is if you dig the show, for you to spread the word and share so we can change as many lives as possible. Literally, it'll take you 5 seconds to give us a great review, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a listener and value the gift of your kind words. Now, back to the show.
Moving on. Okay, this next question is a doozy, and I'm just going to throw this at Mike and see what happens. So, A Touch of Grace Cleaning and Organizing Solutions left a comment on my Facebook post, and they said, Facebook sends ads to people who are not even in my location. I pay for ads and specify my location, but I always get replies from people who are out of state.
All right, so I don't know if that's quite in the theme from what's keeping you from working less. So I don't know how you let that one slide in, but we will.
Very specific problem.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. So again, it's a common problem, believe it or not, and not that exact thing, but some version of I pay for leads and leads suck is wildly the wrong way to look at it. So you're stepping over nickels, or you're stepping over dollars to pick up nickels, guys. Like, I'll give you an example. We get, I don't know how many tens of thousands of downloads to our podcast, YouTube, all of our various social media impressions in a given month. We'll have hundreds of people reach out to us for an appointment or for some help or whatever. We might accept a dozen or 2 clients. So let's just, to make the numbers easy, say we have 1,000 people raise their hand in some form or another on a post, on an email, on a whatever in a month, and we take 10. I could spend my whole life, and we take a little more than that. Those aren't the exact numbers, but I could spend my whole life complaining about the 990 that weren't clients, or I could go, are the 10 clients enough to meet my goal? Am I serving the people I want to serve? And if the answer is yes, don't worry about the 990, right? And it's the same with paying for leads. Like, well, I don't want to pay for this or that. Okay, fine. You can, again, that's not how I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to look at ROI, right? How much should I give Facebook, and how much is my recurring revenue? If I'm like, I spent $500 on Facebook and I got $2,000 in recurring revenue, I'm not going to arm wrestle them for $6 back. I'm going to be like, how can I spend more money and get more recurring revenue? So my encouragement, it's really just the lack of focusing on what you don't want, right? I don't want a bunch of bad clients, so I'm going to focus on that. Let's focus on the good clients and look at the ROI. How much did I spend? How many of the clients came in? Is it making my goal? How can I hit my goal? So quit being like, how can I get less of the wrong people to call in, which is fine. That's a different conversation for a different day. And you can do that through copy. You can do it through, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but we're never going to get perfect, right? So the goal is, since we know there's always going to be people that aren't a fit calling in, we just create a system that eliminates those people. No big deal. And again, if you're not the one, we would encourage you to hire that job out, especially if you're on the residential side, which it sounds like you are. That's everybody. I don't have a system to be like, we want 13 clients this month and we're going to get 13 leads and give 13 bids and give 13, like, it doesn't exist, right? And again, what happens is, I think because most of us start with just repeat and referral customers, where it feels like that way. I got three referrals and I gave 2 bids and both of them became clients, and that's what I want. So then when we start scaling to cold traffic, we want those same kind of numbers, but it's like, no, you might have to get 60 leads to only decide to give 23 bids to only get 8 customers. But if those 8 customers are worth 100 grand a year, what are we doing here? Right? Are we complaining that about the 52 leads that didn't become clients? I mean, you can, but I think it's not a great use of time. So that is how I would choose to look at that particular problem. I think that was actually a good, solid answer that made sense to what they were asking. Lindsay, talk to me.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to add to that. That was it was really solid. I mean, people, yeah, you nailed it, I think. I'm gonna go a little off script, Mike, because I saw a comment that came in actually from Marina. She always leaves such great questions, and she left a long comment, but at the end of this comment, she made a statement, and I want you to talk about it. Going off script here. She said, right now, I'm struggling to get clients to grow my business. And one of my biggest struggles is I have clients dropping like flies because of inflation. How would you address inflation and clients dropping like flies?
That's a great question, Rena. This is why she's a repeat guest or repeat. We feature her questions because they're such a great question. Again, I'm really going to refocus on they're probably not the right client. So for a while, I had a car dealership. And we had people coming like, I can't afford a car payment more than $400. And we try and work on the car that they wanted. Everything's great. Came out to $421 or something. I can't afford that. And I'm like, listen, if you can't afford the 421, you can't afford the 400. Like that 21 bucks isn't it. Like, let's get you a $300 car. Or if you really can't afford the 400, you can afford the 421 or probably 451. Like, you're just not that tight on your budget. So let's not be, again, I'm not going to try and sell them on the extra 21 bucks. I'm going to be like, either you can afford it and let's get what you want, or you can't afford it and we're going to have to settle and not get what you want. Right. And same thing's going on with your people with inflation. Like, oh my gosh, before inflation, I could afford your 350 bucks, but now they're probably the wrong client. They probably can't afford it. And the people that you want have multi-million-dollar homes. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Their time, they get paid hundreds of dollars an hour for their time. They make enough money that they cherish time way above money, and inflation doesn't really hit them. So I got this from Dan Kennedy. I forget that. I think it's marketing, no BS marketing to the affluent. But he had a really good point that in recessions, Target does great or Walmart does great and Neiman Marcus does great. But the guys in the middle get their head handed to them. So when you're selling to wealthy people, again, it's if they're skilled and they're making a couple $100,000 a year and they're living in a multi-million dollar house and they've got a net worth, your 400 bucks a month has nothing to do with the price of apples, right? They're going to be fine either way. And they're just not going to start doing that themselves. When you're selling to broke, you're not going to sell to broke people because if they're absolutely broke, they can't afford cleaning service because it's a luxury service, right? Like call it massage, just to put it in a different area, right? Massage therapy, like luxury service, right? No one needs massage. No one needs cleaning service. It's a big thing. The right clients are like, oh, I can afford it 50 bucks, but I can't afford it 60 bucks. Not the right clients. The right clients are like, I'm going to be here twice a week, every week. I don't care. So I would take this as an opportunity to upgrade. And again, I'm not saying I won't take someone is middle class and they want to afford it. That's fine. But I'm not saying I won't take them as a client, but I'm not going to model my strategy or my business model over the middle class people that are like, 350 I could afford, but 360, because that's really what's happening with inflation, right? Like their purchasing power has gone down, which sucks. I'm not saying inflation isn't real and it doesn't suck and it's not a terrible thing, but either you have the wrong clients, which is probably it, or you're not giving enough value, right? If there are people who are like, you saving me 10 hours a month was worth 350 bucks, but it's certainly not worth $372, or you know what I'm saying? Like find a way to give more value to a higher caliber client. It's never about inflation, right? It was always such a marginal thing anyway. They're like, this is the thing. Like Netflix. If I'm watching Netflix all the time, every time, and it was 20 bucks and now it's 30 bucks, and I love everything that's on there and I use it, they can move it to 50. It really doesn't matter because I'm in. If it's one of those things like, I really watch Hulu and I never watch Netflix, I'm kind of looking for an excuse. And if they raise the price or inflation's like, I got to cut my expenses. Well, Netflix is on the first to be on the cutting board. So you don't want to worry about the people that weren't watching in the first place. And, oh no, inflation, that's not the problem. The problem is they weren't watching in the first place. We're going to find out how to get people that are going to watch my stuff and really enjoy it or get value out of it. Then the price doesn't matter as much. Does that make sense?
It does. And I was going to ask kind of a follow-up question is, do you think a lot of Cleaning Nation, Mike, doesn't think of their service as a luxury service? And if so, is that hindering them in their advertising?
This is why we keep Lindsay around. That's a good question. I really do think that people think cleaning is not a luxury service. And I mean, for my opinion, this is completely opinion, cleaning is not a luxury. Like, I'm not going to live in my own filth, but cleaning is free. I can do it myself. So having someone else, like massage, can't massage my own back, but my legs, my knees, most of my body, I can massage myself. I'm just not as good at it, and I can't, whatever. It's absolutely luxury. So I'm not saying having a clean home is luxury. That could be debatable, but having someone else clean it for you, of course, that's a luxury item. And what really bugs me is when people are like, oh, I've got this little old lady and she's poor and she's been with me for whatever, blah, 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 blah. And we kind of like own that. And I'm not saying you can't do charity, by the way, but charity's charity. Like, if you want to do something for free outside of your business, great. But the best way to help the poor is to not be the poor. So if you give away a bunch of stuff and you can't afford anything, you're not really helping others, right? You got to put on your own mask before you can put your mask on your child. So it is a luxury item. And if people are like, that's not fair, you're raising your prices or it's too expensive, like you somehow owe them that. Again, if we're selling, if I'm a heart surgeon and someone's going to die and I'm like, well, my rate's 30 grand and he's only got 26, and I'm like, drop dead. Okay. I could see there's some moral, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But if I'm charging $400 for cleaning, like, I can't afford that. It's like, well, then clean it your goddamn self. Like, I'm not saying they got to live in their own filth. I'm saying I ain't going to have my team do it. So 1,000% this is a luxury service. People, I don't think they think that. I think they think this is like a God-given right, and somehow we owe people cleaning or something at a cheap price or an unreasonable price or a slave wage price. Like, none of that's the truth. None of it. And you don't believe me, go to your local Tesla or Mercedes store. They're not like, oh no, transportation is a right, blah, blah, blah. Then go get a Uber. If you want a Mercedes, that's luxury, man. Transportation could be a right. Get on your feet, put on your shoes and walk. Like, well, I want a Mercedes. Well, then don't complain to me about the price. All right. There we go. You really got me ranted on that one, Lindsay. We done, or we got time for one more?
We are good. Everyone's a little shy today in Cleaning Nation Live, so we are good for today.
It's because I'm yelling. Everyone's like, God, if I ask a question, Mike's going to yell at me. Maybe I don't know if I like any of this. All right, Cleaning Nation. We love helping over these little 20-minute slots. But in the end of the day, we actually start with just the podcast. The coaching came afterwards. I met so many people in Cleaning Nation that would be like, I am such a fan of the podcast. I love it. And of course, as a coach, I'm like, how much are you making? What are you doing? I haven't done anything yet. I'm making the same thing I was before. And like nothing had ever changed. So as much as we love this and information is great and it feels good to learn, if you really want to get something done, you need to actually do some action, get some help, take some steps. Go to growmycleaningcompany.com. We have coaches. They will talk with you, get the help that you need. If you think I'm full of crap, get another coach. But trying to just figure this out on your own, going to YouTube University is on paper, it's great. Rarely do I see it work out in the real life. So if you're serious about growing your cleaning company, take some action, do something different, get the results that you deserve. See you next week. Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share it with a friend. Share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431, 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.